We actually hate each other because we all have big egos, and so
RJ's
it's like
huge diva. He's
yeah,
horrible.
what? I'm hot right now. Let's please stop it. No, I'm playing. And eating fruit snacks. We really
my God.
Fruit snack.
I gained like 20 pounds.
I got type 1 diabetes, and I used to eat fruit snacks like it's not an issue.
Kristen here, and today we are chatting with the cast and creatives behind Emergency. This is a new film that just premiered at Sundance Film Festival and is now heading over to Amazon Studios to premiere on Amazon Prime. I loved this movie. I had so much fun watching it, the ups, the downs. You really get sucked into this story, and it was so much fun to learn a little bit more about it from the people behind it. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I'm so excited to talk with you guys. I loved Emergency so much. And I also loved your Romeo and Juliet film as well, Carey. So I got to start by asking, like, you're such an expert at telling these authentic stories about young people, but like especially young people of color. So like, what's your secret?
I was one of them once. No, I mean, I think that it's, thank you for saying that. I mean, that's very, very nice of you. I think it's just, I'm a pretty like emotional person at heart, like emo. And I think a lot of young people have a lot of emotional roller coasters within them. And like, I feel like I can tap into that in a lot of ways. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's a secret to it other than just like, really just kind of thinking back to how I feel about a lot of things and really, really, tapping into the characters and what they're experiencing. And I've had a lot of Sean and a lot of Kunle in me. Like that, there definitely was not hard to tap into where their worldviews and their mindsets and, some of the situations that happened to them, I've had happen to me. So that's very, very close to me. So, it was not hard to tap into that.
You have a stellar cast. Like, you guys are all phenomenal. It's like stacked. So what was it all like working together? What was that experience?
We actually hate each other because we all have big egos, and so
RJ's
it's like
huge diva. He's
yeah,
horrible.
what? I'm hot right now. Let's please stop it. No, I'm playing.
It was so easy.
It was
just like, the camera would start rolling and we're just kind of continuing to do our thing, kind of just having fun.
And eating fruit snacks. We really
my God.
Fruit snack.
I gained like 20 pounds.
I got type 1 diabetes, and I used to eat fruit snacks like it's not an issue.
No, it was a lot of fun. It was
great.
Ton of fun.
Emergency, I think, just brings such a fresh and realistic take to a traditionally like white-led party comedy genre, and I think that you guys say so much about the way both American society, but also like how people themselves view, young Black and Latino men from a variety of perspectives. So for you, KD, how do you tap into all of that? How did you bring all of that to life? And like, what inspired you to tap into that story?
I'm Mexican American. I'm Latino. I'm from Los Angeles, and my dad grew up in East LA, and this is an issue where growing up, I grew up with a very acute awareness that how you look affects how you're treated by the world. And like in my family, there are some people who are dark skinned who are treated way differently from the paler people in the family. And I mean, that was something that like we talked a lot about, is that this movie is about perception, and like it's about these guys who have this burden of having to anticipate how they're being perceived at all times. And so like the entire comedic and the like thriller elements of the movie all kind of come out of that one spine, that one theme of always having to like think about like, okay, so if we do this, we're going to look like this. So how can we not look like a threat as we're doing this? Yeah. And, it's kind of a comedy of errors in a way, but it's because the stakes are so real for them. It's also a horror film and a thriller at the same time. So it's like, that's something I've seen in my own life with my family members. And like, especially my dad, my dad would get pulled over all the time for matching the description of a suspect, just because he was a brown guy driving through a white neighborhood. I think that this is a reality for people of color that I think a lot of people deny is real. Like they don't see it and they don't experience it. So they're like, oh, it must not happen that often. Or like, you must have been doing something that looked suspicious. We wanted to be able to put people in that position of like watching these guys go through this night of like, you know, watching every single decision that they make. And you may disagree with some of them. You may be like, in hindsight, that was a bad idea. But like, at least in the moment, you see why they're doing what they're doing.
You can feel the claustrophobia of like, they don't have control over any of this. It's like, this is just, you know, how it is because of what they, you know, look like or the communities they come from. You feel that stress. So you guys killed it. You guys did a great job. Did this storyline influence how you perceive yourselves or bring any awareness to anything or just kind of validate anything that you've already been feeling?
The first thing that I thought when I first read the script was that I'm never gonna book that part. Like I almost did an audition. I was like, you know, to play like a nerdy, awkward, like the rocket scientist like type. I had played like career criminals over and over again, and like to come into something like this is just like, wow, like yeah, I could do that. Of course I could. Like why not? You know. So really from the outset, it's immediately like you're thinking about how you're perceived. You're thinking about like what is possible. You know. Yeah. And then, you know, it just deepens that throughout the whole process.
Yeah, definitely. I think it checked off all those boxes, but did it in a refreshing way to where it wasn't too overbearing, you feel me, or too much to where it became abrasive to where I didn't want to watch or didn't want to kind of view it, you feel me? Because I feel like the first time I watched it, of course, we watch as our own critics the first time, but then the second time, it's like you kind of get to just settle in and watch it as a consumer.
Just enjoy the movie.
Yeah. And so to be able to take the ride along with the audience, right, and get scared at the scary parts, get offended at the, you know, get uneasy at certain parts and stuff, like it made me feel like we did it. Yeah, good job. We didn't waste.
You hear the reactions too.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We're cooking it.
And I always feel like you bring a piece of yourself to every character that you do, whether it's a large piece or a small piece. There's always, you know, that piece of RJ, the piece of Sebastian, piece of Donald that goes into this. And I absolutely saw things about myself that maybe I didn't know were there. And it's because once you go through something, you know, you don't know what you don't know. And it's almost like, hey, this thing it's like a door in your house that's been locked. And then someone's like, hey, what's this? I'm like, I don't know, it's always been locked. And they're like, I got this key. And they open it up. And I feel like that's what like Carey and KD did. And I'm looking around, I'm like, what? They're like, this has been here the whole time. You know,
like
so
you leave your imprint on it, it leaves its imprint on you.
Absolutely.
Imprinting.
I got to ask, because this is something that I thought was so interesting. By the end of the film, you know, Maddie has kind of been going on this journey to find her sister, and she tries to check herself and sort of apologize to you guys for everything that went on. And you're kind of like, we don't need that. We don't need that. So I'd love to hear like what the process was like, or the thought process was for that scene, because I just thought it was so kind of refreshing to just be like, we don't need that white guilt.
It's interesting because there's a couple of different ways that we shot that. So that was something that we actually, when we watched it, we were like, oh, whoa.
Oh my God. There was a version of that scene where we shot it and she actually has this whole speech and tells us, I'm sorry, you know, actually, let me fold this up. Blah, blah, and to you know, this whole moment. But I guess like it was thought that it would better serve the movie to have us actually reject that apology.
Right. Because you don't need it. And I like that because you don't need it. Words won't take away the trauma for Kunle. Like we get a chance to see this man lose his innocence, and you'll never get it back once you've experienced that. So it doesn't matter what you say here. This apology isn't for me. It's for her. It's for you. It's to make you feel better.
Go in the mirror, do this self-work, go to therapy, and chill out.
Oh, that is fascinating. I didn't realize you guys shot so many different versions and you didn't even know it was going to be on screen till it was there. So that's so cool. That just, I was like, oh, that is a moment. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for your time and congratulations. People are going to be like obsessed with this movie. It was so
Thank you.
Thank you.
Consider subscribing if you like my videos, and if you want to talk more TV and movies with me outside of the comments section, check out the exclusive Discord available on my Patreon at patreon.com/kmaldo. If you like this one, you can check out more of my videos right over here. See ya!